4A championship game comes down to Shine East and Sheridan Saturday, 4 o'clock at War Memorial Stadium here in Laramie, joined by the Thunderbirds head coach, Chad Goff. And Chad, back in the title game for the second time in 3 seasons. I guess first start about, I know you had high expectations coming into this season, but what are you seeing out of your team here in these two playoff games since the regular season wrapped up?
Just what we ask from them all year. We always ask for growth, and I just feel like they're a team that's continually gotten better at different things. There's a lot of things that go on out there, and you got to try to find the things that you got to get better at each week. And I think they're a team that's responded to what we've asked them to get better at.
What a great game it was when you guys played in Sheridan. You guys were on the short end by 3 points. What do you take away from that? And are there a lot of things you take away from that game?
You know, um, there are a lot of things to take away from it. Offensively, we did some good things. Had a couple mistakes that you can't have against Sheridan. They make you pay for that kind of stuff. Defensively, did some good things, but again, made some mistakes that they make you pay for. And then obviously they had a kick return, so special teams, we had a huge mistake that they always make you pay for. So you take a lot away from that game, both positive. I mean, it's all kind of positive. It's all a building process, and so you take that stuff and you teach your kids and you show them why. You teach them the why behind what happened.
Obviously, your team has responded pretty well from that. Are there certain aspects that you have maybe seen as more of a benefit in that loss to Sheridan versus had you maybe won that game?
You know, um, that's
Was it
the kind
maybe
of stuff with high school kids can go either way. You're talking 15, 16, 17, 18-year olds, and you win that game and you just beat the returning state champions, and all of a sudden you're riding high and you go into another big game and you think you're better than you obviously are, and bad things can happen in that situation. And so you, you have to understand that you can't change it. So you just have to figure out how to get your kids to move on from it.
obviously when you won the title a couple of years ago, some of these kids played in that a little bit, maybe not as many, but you guys were at home. That was the unfortunate COVID year. How are you kind of treating this week to keep your guys focused on? Yeah, I know we're going to the big stadium in Laramie, and it may be a different type of atmosphere, and you don't want to get them caught glaring up at the jumbotron and things like that. But how do you keep your team focused, or are they good at that themselves? I guess.
It's every coach has got to do it that's there. It doesn't matter how many times you've been there. Kids are new to it, and so you just try to get there. We just want to get there a little bit early, get them around it, see what's going on, let them see a little bit of the game that's going on before us, so that they can see that it's still just a football game. And other than that, it's just business as usual.
How has your team done handling big game atmospheres this season, you think? Because you've been involved in a lot of them.
Yeah, I think in those games we've started out pretty hot, and then we kind of coast a little bit, and then we have to figure it out again. And so that's one thing that you just in this game can't happen. They're pretty even killed team, truly. Like there's not like we don't just excessive celebrate type stuff, or we don't put our heads down. There was a time last week that we're up big, and then all of a sudden we're only up by 6, and there was no heads down. They just went back to work and got the game back to where it should have been in the first place. And so they, like I said, I think that preparation, the season, like the big games we've been in, have prepared them for this. Traveling to go to Natrona and Sheridan and Thunder Basin, and going back to see the team in Rock Springs that beat you out the year before. There's all that emotion that goes into every one of those games, and so they've responded well in those.
High scoring games. You guys have been in quite a few of these. How do your team just keep coming back offensively, I guess? What have you seen from your offense that's allowed you to do that and kind of keep that pedal down?
Well, we got good dudes. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to all that other than you got good dudes, and when they get the ball, they want to do something with it. And so and they're very unselfish. They understand that when it's their opportunity, they got to make the most of it, and they work well for each other. You got our outside receivers. They don't touch the ball a ton, but they do a great job of blocking. But yet they've both caught touchdowns because when they had that opportunity, they made the most of it. And then I always call it our little triangle there with Garrett and Dom and Drew, they just complement each other so well. Drew kind of can do a lot of different things. Dom's got great speed. Garrett is a perfectionist on his route running, and so we just got and Cam has done a great job. If you were to look at the end of the game, how many people have touched the ball for us. He does a great job of distributing it, making people be honest against us. And you can't just say, okay, we're just going to shut Garrett down today, or we're just going to make sure Dom doesn't go deep on us, or we're going to pack the box so Drew can't go off. You have to honor everybody.
Gotcha. What are you seeing out of Jeff's squad since you've seen him? What's kind of jumping out right now, other than 517, obviously?
Yeah, I've seen they're good. I mean, they just continue to get better and better, and they run that scheme, and he just gets better at every week. Obviously, like that number 517 just does that in a semifinal football game. You don't see that very often. He's a dude too, and it's always fun to have dudes on your team. And so they're a team that I think has found their identity, obviously, and because they have changed a little bit throughout the season. But I think they found out who they are. They like what they're doing, and so they're going to stick with that. And it's going to be fun. I mean, this is what you want to be in.
So, what are your kind of keys? I'm not asking for the game plan or what tricks you got up your sleeve or anything like that, but
Yeah.
what are some things you're looking at, and maybe some key matchups for you this Saturday?
Yeah. Well, I'll let you in on the game plan. We want to score at least one more point than them in the end.
There you
But,
go.
some things that I feel like have to happen. We have to get them in uncomfortable situations. We have to get them in situations that they're not used to being in. Special teams, we got to make sure that we are playing that phase of the game as well as them. They're always a special team dominant team, and so we have to make sure that our special teams are out there to play that third of the game as well. Offensively, we got to continue with our confidence and continue to do what we do. And defensively, I felt like, we're playing good, and Sheridan taught us a lot. We came home, we watched film, we saw all the things we had to do. And then I think after that game, we got better. And then we kind of got into a lull there for a couple of weeks where our kids didn't get to play a full game. They only played like the first half or whatever. And then we play Rock Springs in that first round, which is a great game for us because they came out and Coach Leonard had a great plan, and our kids had to play the whole game, and they had to just play smash mouth football again and hit and tackle and gang tackle and do all that stuff. So I think, and then you see Natrona the week after, who loves to do that too. And so the defense is just kind of back to where we kind of wanted them to be, and we're doing good things last week. And obviously we had some letdowns, but that wasn't all on our defense either. So, I just think the team has come along well. And so, like I said, we have to get Sheridan to do some things that they're not comfortable with doing. We have to show up and play special teams. We got to do what we do on offense and just keep rolling for 4 quarters.
Chad, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, I wish you the best luck. We'll see you on Saturday.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
Continue to talk about the 4A state championship game, the East Thunderbirds against the Sheridan Broncs, the defending champions, who have had a nice little run here, and visiting with Broncs head coach Jeff Mowry. And I got to start with what a performance in the semifinals you guys had, and really put it on the backs of one guy. I know he credited his offensive line, but have you seen anything like what Colson did last Friday night, Jeff?
I haven't seen much like that. I guess that's why it's a record, right? And
yeah.
Trevor Jackson, our radio guy, asked me the game after the game, or he told me. I didn't even know how many yards he had. I knew he had a good game, but he told me how many yards he had, and I said I think that was about equivalent to my career of rushing at high school stats. So Colson had a phenomenal game, and I think more than anything, and he will tell you, he's good at making people miss an open space. And our guys did a tremendous job of getting him into open space. Most people would say if they had that many yards, it would be on 50 carries. He did it on less than 30. And that's an attribute to our offensive line, our wide receivers, our guys making blocks, and the quarterback making good reads, because when he's in open space, he's tough. That being said, it's hard to get him into open space as well. Cheyenne Central is a very good defense. And our guys did a good job of getting him to that place so he could be successful.
How do you put that behind you now and get ready for another game, bigger stakes now?
Yeah, each week we in our team meetings look at the bracket and kind of see what it looks like as a whole, and then we zoom in on the one game we got to take care of. And this week it's another Cheyenne team, Cheyenne East, and it really doesn't matter what we did last week. It doesn't matter what we did in the first round, and it doesn't matter what we did in the regular season. It comes down to Saturday at 4 o'clock, and how are we prepared and how are we ready to go? Because who cares what happens in the past? This is the only thing that we have to worry about right now. And so great. Colson, you have a record, but that doesn't do any good for us now. Let's go back to work.
What do you take away from the regular season game at your place against the Thunderbirds?
They are fast, incredibly fast. And we knew they were, but then to see that with their tempo and their speed, they on offense, they are on the ball in no time at all. And they're doing it again with incredible speed and talent on the offensive side. And then those guys turn around and play defense as well. And you saw it in the against Natrona last week. They know how to turn the ball over on defense, and twice Natrona's played them, and turnovers have killed them. And we can't do that against them. It's a very talented football team that we've got to execute very cleanly and to have a shot in the fourth quarter, because if we give them extra opportunities with the ball, we won't have a chance.
Were you surprised that A, the regular season meeting was high scoring, and then B, last week both your guys' games were high scoring?
Yeah, I did not predict. I think coming into our regular season against Cheyenne East, they were averaging 50 points a game, and they're still right up around 50 points. So I expect them to score points. We've got to find a way to make them punt a few times. That being said, we've got to find a way to score and try to keep up with them. Up here, they got up to a 14-0 start, and I thought we were on roller skates, and our guys continued to battle. And we'll have to do that again. There will be some adversity, and you're not going to shut out Cheyenne East. It's just not going to happen. And so how can we force them to punt and limit the amount of times they get into their end zone? And that's what we've got to do. And then capitalize when we have the ball.
What do you look at in terms of key matchups in this game between your personnel, their personnel?
They're obviously going to find a way to try to take away number 5 for sure for us. Sorry, school bell going off there. But they've got to find a way to take away number 5, and Coach Hesford and his defense will find a way. They are a very, very good defense. They don't give up a ton of points, and they score a ton. So we've got to find a way to still move the ball on offense, and we got to be able to play off of number 5 a little bit. Defensively, we can't focus on one guy. I don't think there's a matchup you can focus on, because as soon as you focus on Drew Jackson, then all of a sudden they're going to number 9 and they're going to number 3. And then the quarterback's pulling it down and running. It's really got to be a team concept on the defense. Everybody's got to be on the same page. And whether it's the wrong page or the right page, they've got to be on the same page so that they understand where everybody's at.
I know it's unique because this is a different team, but how much of a benefit is it that a lot of your guys have been here and done this before, Jeff? They know what, how you guys travel to Laramie, what the expectations are. And I know we were talking before we started this conversation about, you got to figure out where the IPF is and what your locker room is, all that good stuff. But you guys have been here and kind of done that. Is there a benefit to that?
I think there's probably a little familiarity, mostly because the coaches are familiar with the routine. Okay. I think the first time we went there in 2009, the coaches were oohing and on and checking out the facilities and taking pictures and all that. And if the coaches are doing that, then the kids are also ramped up, but if our coaches can walk into the facilities and say, hey, here it is, this is where we're going to be, and we're pretty calm, cool, and collected, the kids feed off of that as well. There's a benefit to our kids also. That being said, each year's new, and our kids will be taking pictures like it's the first time they've ever been there. And it's really a cool atmosphere for our kids to experience. And they really enjoy the process. And I hope they do enjoy the process and take time to soak it all in, because it's not very often that high school football players get to be on the main stage at War Memorial. It's such a beautiful place, and the facilities are great, and they treat you like kings. And so it's a cool experience, and the experience helps. But in the end, it's a new group of kids, and they're going to be just as excited as any other kid.
So where's that balance between enjoying it and still saying, guys, focus, we're here to play a football game? And I know it's a state championship, but it's still just another football game. Where's that balance for you and your staff?
I think the hard part throughout the week of preparation for the state championship is our kids oftentimes think about Saturday and the state championship, and you've really got to get them to live in the moment. We've got to prep on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and an extra day on Friday this week, and they've got to be in the moment and focused on their preparation so that they can enjoy Saturday. And this senior group, last week we said let's go earn some more practices, and senior group truly believed they were going to get more practices. Well, you can't have any more practices than we're going to get. And so the seniors, we talked to them about really taking it in, enjoy the process, enjoy those lunch meetings that we do, enjoy that conditioning, enjoy that tackling drill, enjoy the cold weather that we practiced in, because you won't have it again with this same group of guys. And it's a guys that you've been playing with for, 10, 12 years.
Well, with that, I'll let you go. I appreciate the time and wish you best luck. We'll see you down here in Laramie on Saturday.
I appreciate it, David.